financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is tax problems. Solve them on your terms. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. It's an interesting topic.
Pat Simasco.
Tax time.
We don't have an outline for Pat?
No, I don't think so.
Never again. Never again.
All right, so a
How
little
ha-
bit of information.
Yeah.
The tax filing deadline for 2023 is April 15th. That may sound like not novel news because we always think of the tax deadline as April 15th, but rarely is it April 15th because a lot of times it falls on the holiday and you have
Emancipation Day.
Here-
Falls right around the same.
extends it another
Here's
day.
the question I ask my clients all the time, because taxes are always a big thing with my clients. Whether we're in such a polarized world right now, conservative, Republican, Biden, Trump, blah, 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 blah. Does anybody in the world thinks tax are going down or up?
Even when they say they're going down, they go up.
They're always going
It's
up.
kind of like, when the Secure Act passed, right? And what do? They changed the inheritance tax laws, so now it's up to $12 million per estate without paying estate tax. But they didn't stop collecting taxes because they changed the way you inherit a 401k or an
Right,
IRA.
a 10-year payout.
So now you have to receive it over 10 years, usually at the highest income bracket that you're ever going to be at.
Right.
So you, as inheriting the IRA, are now paying taxes at a higher rate.
But now,
We have
since
the largest deficit
since
in
Ken
the
dropped
history of the
his
world.
New Year's resolution to talk elder law all the time, I'm going to have to do it.
We've already covered it.
Inherited IRAs, are they protected in bankruptcy?
they are not
They are
protected
not.
in bankruptcy.
Be careful, people, because when you pass away and those kids that have the $100 million credit card debt and they have to go through bankruptcy or creditors, those IRAs and 401ks and 403s are all collectible.
But they can't-
Ding, 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 ding. Congratulations, Pat. And this concludes our discussion of elder law today because we've now covered my New Year's resolution.
Yes.
But no, if
I'm
you have
proud of
anything
you.
to add.
But they can be protected through the right drafting of trusts.
And when do you have to do it by? There's a drop dead date. You have
Yes,
to do it by.
before dropping dead. Before dropping dead.
I want to challenge you on one point when you're saying is taxes. We have a big deficit, and somehow we have to deal with it.
We haven't paid for
we
Vietnam
had
yet.
major tax cuts in
I don't think we paid for the Civil War yet.
Trump administration. Rates went down. Corporate rates went down. They really, and yes, in the Biden administration, certain things have come up, but they haven't come up nearly to where they were before. But we have a big deficit that has to be addressed. Now, what's weird to me is when you said we have a divided country, historically, the Republicans have always been of the position against the big deficit, but at the same token, in favor of tax cuts under the theory that the tax cut will generate greater growth. Greater growth creates greater...
Trickle-down economics. Wasn't that a Reagan theory that didn't work?
Creates greater revenue, and then the tax revenues go up.
Here's
The question is, how are we going to solve the problem? And then on top of that, it seems as though the topic is taxes, the idea of no money for IRS enforcement, which everybody who's the taxpayer says, well, that's great, I don't want to get audited. Do you want to get audited? Do you want to get audited?
Not on my list of things to do
I don't want to
today.
get audited either. But sitting here on a macro basis, do we need to make sure the government collects the taxes that are owed from the people that owe it? Or do we say nobody pays any taxes and let's just have the deficit grow and grow and grow?
well, but this is the reality.
It's insanity.
This is the reality. It's already been determined that the deficit, it will be impossible to pay off that debt. Impossible. Impossible. They can't pay it off. It's $37 trillion. It used to be when Obama was office, $13 trillion at $34 trillion now.
But can you get it trimmed to a third of that amount over 10 years or over 15 years? And what if it keeps growing?
Well, that's the trouble.
China's going to own us?
If it's never going to get paid off, taxes will never pay it off. Why the hell have taxes? But the reality, then you're looking like Venezuela when inflation's through the roof and it's an absolute
you don't
nightmare.
want that. Look how did we react to 1 year of bad inflation? It was like the atomic bomb went off. It was Hiroshima for the United States.
Right.
We got so used to low inflation and low interest rates. Like, remember the 70s? Were you around? Were you around?
I don't.
No. Bugs Bunny was on.
Let's see. In 1970, I was 3.
All right, let me share with you. Before I went to law school, I was working for a company called Schramm Realty, and my job was to close the real estate transactions. The mortgage rates at that time were 13, 14%.
I remember.
People were buying
land
homes for
contracts.
$70,000, $80,000.
But a house didn't
people-
cost what it costs today in the equivalent dollars. Back
That's the
in the
inflation.
80s, a shoe salesman working at the mall could buy a house.
You know
Today,
why?
there's no possibility
His
of that
7
happening.
kids lived in that house. Now you got 1 kid, you need a 5,000 square foot house with a pool.
I agree with you on that. In that the person that was making in 1980 probably $40,000 is maybe making today $80,000, but the house in 1970 was $85,000 to $95,000 for a starter home, and now it's $300,000.
And what was his
my
credit card
parents-
debt in 70?
My parents built.
Maybe $15,000.
My
And
parents-
what's it now?
85.
My parents
85,
built
oh.
a house in 1969. They paid $42,000 for it. Their mortgage was $113 a month, and my dad made $8,200 a year.
You know what's funny? We just created our...
And he walked to school
No,
30 miles
that was
in
a
the
good,
snow
no, that
every
was,
day
but
in
that was a
elementary
good
school.
living in
We just
1969.
became our grandparents. Talking about our aches, our pains,
But-
the way you
But you can't do that
I
today.
agree.
You take the equivalent salary
let's take
today,
a break.
It's not
He
gonna
aged
work.
a lot better
Let's take
than
a
us.
break and become younger.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Samasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Samasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Samasco Law.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
You know, we were just talking about average income. Because right now, what do you think the average income is right now for the United States? 85,000? Michigan, I think it's 85,000.
It's not enough. It's not a lot. And
What do you-
not when houses are costing.
we
Starter
have to
home
Google it. I think
costs
that's
You know the weird
$200,000.
What percentage compared to the world income is that? What percentage
Well,
of
that's
that?
still in the 99th percentile.
You're in
We're
the
still
99th
I mean,
percentile.
the United States standard of living is still way higher than the
How
rest
long
of the world.
can that stay? And you had brought up before, China take over. They're
Well,
going to become
that-
the #1 economy out there.
Who knows? I mean, they're having their own.
Oh, they're
problems.
gonna do it,
They're
but the
having their own
question
problems
is-
there, but they have the population edge on us. But the question is, what are we ultimately going to do about that debt? Because
Well, we just keep kicking the can down the road. Social
Except-
Security is a great example.
just
It's going to run out of money, and they won't fix it until it runs out of money.
Forget China for a second. Pretend it's just Ken and his credit card debt, or Joe and his credit card debt. If he has $50,000 of credit card debt, and it was at 10% interest before we went into this inflationary time, and it was costing him $5,000 a year, of which he had to make an additional $8,000 to pay his taxes. But that credit card interest rate went to 25%. So now it's a lot more, but his income is the same.
Yeah.
That's the United States paying greater interest costs on its
Well,
debt.
that's why
Here's
the
the-
middle
here-
class disappeared.
You know,
means
this is-
less money
th-
for
Well,
spending on the rest
and that's
of
what
us.
happened with Detroit. When Detroit finally went bankruptcy, it went great because everything with the sheet was pulled off. They could actually do stuff. Here's the question that people don't realize: who buys the U.S. debt right now?
Everybody.
No. Well, yeah, but specifically, who buys the U.S. debt? We just raised the debt ceiling. Who bought that debt?
Well,
Who's borrowing the money? Who's
If
Well-
we're buying T-bills ourselves,
Yeah.
we're buying it, but
And-
so are foreign governments.
No, they don't buy. They don't buy crap. Social Security, Social Security's the one that buys it. Federal pensions
Then
are
how,
the
are
one
we then how is it that we owe
printing
China all
money.
this money?
It's because they bought it in the old time. They're not
Okay.
buying the big
They're not
debt
buying
now.
new stuff?
It's Social Security's what's buying it. It's the pensions
So
are
you're
buying.
paying yourself.
You're paying yourself.
Well, better to pay yourself than paying China. If you're paying Social Security, aren't you then increasing the amount of money available for Social Security? But you're taking it out of the general account.
yeah, that's exactly it.
So your regular income
the right
taxes,
hand is borrowing it from the
your
left
income
hand.
taxes have to go up.
It's the biggest
pay Social Security.
It's the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world. I give the money to Social Security. They turn around and loan it to the U.S. government to pay me back Social Security.
But if they're getting an interest rate that's better, in some respects, I'm happier with that outcome
But there's only so much money.
than
That's-
paying it to a foreign government.
But there's only so much money, and it's funded by taxes.
yeah, so
the
it is a
taxes that
No,
funding
it's
people
not
can't
fun-
pay.
So
It's funded by
so,
the copy
okay.
machine
So
that's
that
printing
we
out
don't have the
T-bills.
solution for the U.S. government. I agree. But what I'm saying to you back on the tax thing is the notion of then saying we're not going to put any enforcement money into IRS collecting the taxes allows. This is what's not fair to me.
Yeah.
If you're earning wages as a W-2 employee, you're paying your taxes. You have no choice because it's taken out of your check. It's not fair to you to pay your taxes if your friend and neighbor who's self-employed is not paying his taxes and is not getting called on the carpet because of the lack of enforcement. He doesn't ultimately have to pay. That's great for the guy who's self-employed and doesn't pay his taxes.
Until
He's
he wants
happy.
to go collect Social Security.
And
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, he's still getting credit for his Social Security. He's
No.
just not paying his taxes.
If he's not paying in, the Social Security is based on the taxes that you pay in. So
All right, so he's not. Well, if you file the tax return and you have the
Filing
self-employed,
the tax
trust
return
me,
is not
every plumber, every painter that's self-employed
No.
that's not paying
No, no.
tax, that he ain't paying
Wait,
the
wait, wait.
Social
There's a
Security.
difference.
Well, they're
There's a difference.
underreporting their
Wait,
income
there's a
versus
difference.
reporting.
No,
their-
they're over-reporting their
Stop.
expenses.
If you're taking cash and not reporting the income, you're not paying into the system.
Right.
But if you file your tax return and you report the self-employment income and then you don't pay it because you don't have the cash, you're a collection problem for the IRS, which if they don't enforce it and come
Right.
after you, you may not ultimately pay. You still get credit for the money that you should have paid in
Yeah.
because you filed the return.
Yeah.
The dumbest thing, see if we all agree, working for cash and not getting Social Security when you're ready to retire or Social Security disability, if Jeff Kirshner was here, that is the dumbest thing. Because when you get to retirement, if you don't have, we don't have pensions, and you don't have any savings, the only thing most people have is Social Security. And if you haven't paid into the system, you get zero. What do you do then?
Get married to a rich person that
And
has
then
a lot of
collect-
income.
and
But
then-
then you
I
can
like that
collect
idea.
Then you
off
could
of it.
get half of their benefit.
Well, that's what happens with wives. You know, the old days, husbands worked, wives didn't. Wives can collect off the husband. It's the same thing
How
now.
long do you have to be married in order to be qualified for that?
1 year.
So you're single.
Actually, I think it's 9 months.
So yeah, so if you haven't paid in your whole life, find a spouse a year before retirement age, and then you collect half of their benefit.
Well, it's based
That's
on when
crazy.
you start collecting. It's 62 versus age 70. But yeah, it's fair because someone should stay home and take care of the kids. They shouldn't be penalized by not having Social Security.
No, but
So
but
they
is
collect-
it is it fair if I worked for cash my whole life, I never paid into the system, I get to age 60 and I find a gal who's been paying into the system, she makes a good income, and then we get married, and a year later I can then collect Social Security equal to half of her benefit
Absolutely,
when I
yeah.
haven't paid in a penny
Yeah.
into the
And
system?
you know what they
I
actually-
don't think that's fair. Do you
Well,
think that's fair? Is
It
that
may
fair?
not be fair,
It
but
is
that's
what
the
it-
way the system works.
But
Well,
it's not
so-
fair to the guy who did pay in.
No, so the wife worked her whole life, and her husband. No, the wife never worked, and her husband died, and now she
the
gets
wife,
married.
The
guy.
wife worked. She was a stay-at-home mom. That's
Yeah.
a harder job.
Well,
than
the
most
point
of us
is-
have.
I agree with you on the one where
You're talking about the plumber who never declares his
this-
who
taxes.
didn't who just worked for cash.
two
He's out of
things. Two
system.
things. Two things.
Hold your things. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll cover those two things.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Samasco Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, "We'll get through this, we'll get through this."
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Samasco Law got the success they deserved.
Samasco Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to announce we've opened, THAV GROSS has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Don't open your eyes. Don't move. Don't move until we start. Don't move, Pat. Pat, we started 30 seconds ago. You can open your eyes. There's such thing as, in our business as lawyers, don't get mad, get even. I just got even.
Two things. One, I forgot what I said. It doesn't have to be husband and wife. It can be husband, husband, wife, wife. Now
Spouses,
when you have,
yes.
Thank God they created that, because those before same-sex people could get married, it's a horrible thing. They didn't have that benefit, and it should be. And for Social Security,
for sure.
Social Security,
But not everybody's going to agree with you on that.
Well, that's okay,
Yeah.
but Social Security doesn't care. They don't care when you collect. They don't care if you got married a day. It's all on actuary. Just life insurance companies. They average everything out, and at the end, it all equals
but
out.
I still think there's a beef. There's two different scenarios. The woman or the spouse, doesn't matter, who has stayed home and take care of the kids and didn't earn a wage, should be able to collect and get half of the benefit because they were productive and they did what they were supposed to do. The person who's working for cash and not paying into the system and not paying his taxes, and then marries shortly before retirement age in order to collect, he or she is gaming the system, which, great, you can game the system for your own benefit. That's what people do. But who suffers? The people who don't game the system, who pay in and pay their taxes,
because they're paying higher taxes.
Disproportionate. Yeah, if everybody paid their taxes, then the taxes for all would be less. If we were on an electronic system.
The reality is, the guy that got married is probably the one that's paying the most because he's got to put up with a whole lot of crap at that point in time, right? The reality is, when you play that system, man. Yeah. But how about the guy that tried
she says
hard?
To him, if you behave, you're good.
How about the one that tried his whole life and tried, but never made it and never made it? and did the thing, but worked hard and just never made enough to pay taxes. Then his wife dies. And then he marries that girl.
Well, if you work and you're making...
See, that's the collection part. See, what you the beginning of this is the collection part.
Yes.
The IRS has to go after the people that are paying the tax like they should. That's just what's fair.
And even more so on the rich.
Absolutely.
I would absolutely agree. There's no reason to escape the system. Allowing certain people to escape, whether it's the wealthy or the people who are working for cash, is unfair to those that are paying into the system.
Working within the system is the law. Everyone that complains about that person not paying the tax are complaining that Brian's getting those other people bankrupt. They're not paying their debt. So as long as the law is the law, if you don't like the law, go change the law. I do that all the time. Why is that unfair for Medicaid? Blah, 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 blah. Go call your congressman, because I can't change it. I'm just doing what the law is in front of me now. And I don't even advocate for law change. Whatever it is, we're going to work at that.
We're talking kind of social justice right now. When it comes to tax problems and someone comes in, I'm not worried about the other guy. I'm not worried about fairness to the other guy. I'm worried about my client, our client, making sure that we get him the best deal as possible. Can we get out from under the taxes with an offer in compromise? Can we avoid paying the taxes by opening another company if we need to? Our job is to make sure our client...
Can we file bankruptcy and wipe them out? You got to look at the solutions, but you're talking about a global problem, which is, there's the macro problem, which has to be solved by Congress eventually. And it will...
It
eventually
won't get solved
solved
unless people have the right mentality at the Congress level.
But on the micro level, you got to look out for yourself.
Absolutely. And that goes to
and
our
that's what happened with
philosophy on
Detroit
financial
bankruptcy. It was horrible to get through it. It could not have been fixed without the bankruptcy.
It's a good thing.
It was a great thing.
It's a good
Detroit
thing.
is just going beautiful right now. And thank God for the Lions that they were helped to bring it up.
We've got a good
Go
football
Wings.
team now, too. All we need now is a
The Pistons,
good...
would be nice if the Pistons were
We
better.
that's a definite work in progress that's starting at the very bottom.
At the
Pistons?
very bottom.
But remember 89 and 90.
Yeah, but
Bill Lambier.
There aren't a lot of
sir.
people out there that still remember 89 and 90.
My brother-
I beg to differ. There are a lot of people out
Bill
there that
Lambier
remember
story.
89 and 90.
My brother would go to the bar and girls would think that he was Bill Lambier, and they would go, "Are you Bill Lambier?" He'd go, "Yes, I am."
This is Jim?
That's Jim. Yeah,
the next
my
time
brother,
Jim's
Jim.
on the show, we're going to do the Bill
Call him
Lambier
Bill.
Tell
story.
Kelsey all the stories. Oh my God, she loves hearing the stories. And she loves working with you guys. She is learning. My daughter is learning so much from sitting in on these shows.
Well, have her come next week because she doesn't give me nearly
She was
going
going to come this time, but she forgot her outline at home.
Have a great week. On that note, have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.